Good evening, my name is Chancellor Mloza and this is Zodiac News. Government banks on newly launched tripartite free trade area to maintain sugar as crucial export crop. Malawi Bureau of Standards laments Malawi's poor standards in quality assurance. In sports, netball analyst says the Queen's fall on world rankings should be a wake-up call, the Netball Association of Malawi. And boxer Floyd Mayweather announces his final career fight. Now the news in detail. Government says it is banking on the newly established tripartite free trade partnership to explore new sugar markets within Africa. This comes as European Union countries announce that they will drastically reduce the quota of sugar imports from African countries, including Malawi, by 2017. Malawi exports 40% of our sugar to Europe, while 60% is used locally. Sibongile Siambo has the details.
Malawi exports 40% of our sugar to Europe, while 60% of sugar left is used locally within the country. The development for the past years has increased the much-needed forex in the country through sugar sales, which comes after tobacco. Through sugar sales, Malawi has been making huge profits of $100 million in exports per year, bringing the much-needed forex in the country. But of late, sugarcane farmers have expressed shock with the European Union's announcement of reducing imports of sugar from Africa, including Malawi, by 2017. Most farmers who spoke to ZBS have expressed sadness to the news from the European Union countries, who have said they will reduce the quota of importing sugar in most African countries, Malawi inclusive. The development comes as sugarcane European farmers have started growing more sugar beet, taking over from the quota that African countries were exporting. President for Sugarcane Growers Association of Malawi, Mr. Frighton Njolomole, said government should do something to replace international sugar market.
Definitely no two ways about it. The market is going to be affected tremendously. All along, as I said earlier on, that we have been selling to Europe, exporting about 40% of our sugar, 60% used locally. But this time around, we heard about this story that come 2017, sugar penetration into Europe market will cease. Definitely the reason being that the sugar beet farmers have been heavily subsidized, which means all sugar from Africa will not penetrate European market because now they will be depending on the sugar beet produced in Europe.
In his remarks, Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation Dr. Alan Chembekeza promised sugarcane farmers in the country not to panic, arguing the country will solicit markets through the tripartite free area. The news about European countries of reducing their quota of importing sugar in African countries, including Malawi, comes at a time when the country is struggling with tobacco sales this year, whereby buyers are offering low prices for the leaf. For ZBS, this is Sibongile Ziambo reporting.
Now to some rather light news. There is still rampant illegal logging in Zanyama Forest Reserve, where citizens are producing charcoal and firewood. They insist they cannot stop this as the forest is their only source of livelihood, although they are aware that the actions are illegal. Ironically, Natural Resources, Energy and Mining Minister Brighton Saka told reporters the rate of deforestation in the forest reserve has greatly declined. Reports Veronica Mali.
Due to some economic challenges, some citizens in the country have now ventured into a business of selling firewood and charcoal, which they get from the Zalanyama Forest Reserve. Now, this is having a negative impact to the forest, as we are seeing the forest continuously losing a majority of the trees. Now, talking to some of the people, they say they know what they're doing is illegal, but they can't do otherwise because they need to earn a living.
It's true, we're destroying the environment, but this is the first time I'm doing this. I'm poor, and I need to source food and take care of my children and some orphans I look after. I sell the firewood at 1,000 kwacha, then I buy food for the children.
We sell the firewood at Mitundu Market. I know it's illegal, but normally we just pick the firewood. Those that cut down trees carelessly are the ones destroying the forest. If I can find some capital to start a business, then I'll stop.
Some few months ago, the Malawi government deployed the Malawi Defense Force soldiers to provide high-quality security to the Zalanyama Forest Reserve in order to preserve it. Is this yielding anything?
From the reports I have received over the months I have been in the ministry, is that they have been able to curb most of the deforestation that was happening here, and that, like I said earlier on, the number of people carrying charcoal from here into the city has reduced probably by tenfold. That's a massive, massive improvement in the effort to reduce deforestation here. We will be joining the Malawi Defense Force shortly with our own forest rangers that will be carrying guns. We'll train them on how best to utilize those arms, and we will make sure that there are sufficient patrols in this forest.
Some years ago, Zalanyama Forest Reserve was one of the most beautiful forests in Africa. But as it stands now, it is one that is most pitied. But what can Malawi government do to ensure that the forest is preserved and at the same time protect the people that are earning a living from it? I am Veronica Mali for Zodiac.
Well, from a serious issue to do with deforestation, let's now actually move to lighter news. If you were born 10 years ago, this fish could be your age mate. This fish, scientifically called Crarius garipinus, weighed about 70 kilograms when it was caught at Likoma Island this morning, and it is thought to be about 10 years old. Locally known as Mkwevu, the big fish was caught using hook traps by one Leonard Chimunta from Chiponde village on Likoma Island. Chimunta says he was so threatened after realizing that an unusual thing had been trapped by his fish gear, since he was used to catching bluefish and other smaller pieces. He says he thought it was a beast, and he called out to other fishermen who were nearby to assist him. But contrary to fears that could be a crocodile, he discovered he had caught probably his catch of his lifetime. 5 people were required to take it from the water into a canoe, then in a wheelbarrow ready for the market, where it was sold at 23,000 Malawi kwacha. You're watching News on Zodiac with me, Chance Mlozabanda, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. The headlines in this edition of the news. Government banks on newly launched tripartite free trade area to maintain sugar as crucial export crop. Malawi Bureau of Standards laments Malawi's poor standards in quality assurance. In sports, netball analyst says the Queen's fall on world rankings should wake up the Netball Association of Malawi. And boxer Floyd Mayweather announces his final career fight. Malawi Bureau of Standards says there is need to improve the country's capacity in quality assurance. The Bureau hopes to improve the competitiveness of Malawian products as well as create opportunities for more foreign investments. Director General Devlin Chogazinga told a training on standards in Blantyre that inadequate equipment and unqualified personnel are some of the major challenges Malawi needs to look into urgently.
Each country that is trading would want to get information about Malawi in terms of regulations. We would like to get information about other countries in terms of trade regulations. And these national inquiry points are linked worldwide, and therefore in Malawi we needed to capacitate our inquiry point. The Malawi Bureau of Standards host what we call SPS, or Phytosanitary Inquiry Point on food safety. Minister of Agriculture hosts SPS Inquiry Point on animal safety and also plant protection. And therefore, this workshop with this facilitator will actually strengthen that kind of understanding and eventually capacitate in terms of the facility that we have, so that we have created a database of international regulations in other countries when we are trading. Apart from that, when each country also has developed new regulations, the Minister of Industry and Trade are supposed to notify all trading partners in Malawi. And this workshop is also going to teach us some of the procedures that are required and also strengthen our capacity in terms of delivering the same to notify the trading community in Malawi who are trading on export business. Because also, apart from that, receiving information from other countries across the world, so that we can disseminate the same to the other trading partners, so that when you want to export your goods to Australia, UK, or anywhere else, you know what their requirements are, and therefore you don't go on a live of your goods, because that can be costly.
A political commentator has described President Peter Mutharika's failure to acknowledge the presence of the leader of opposition in parliament at public events on several occasions shows political immaturity. Dr. Blessings Chinsinga of Chancellor College made the remarks after President Mutharika and other top government officials failed to recognize Dr. Lazarus Chakwera during a groundbreaking ceremony of the Lilongwe Old Airport, Kasia Sante Road on Wednesday. Ironically, President Peter Mutharika told the gathering to desist from engaging in acts that would divide the country in any way. The Malawi leader called on all Malawians to unite in transforming Malawi into a developed nation. And President Mutharika warned that political bickering could impede on the country's progress. Next, we move on to sports. Netball analyst Wesley Namasala says the Queen's fall on world rankings should be a wake-up call for the Netball Association of Malawi. The Queens are now on position 6 in the world, with South Africa now occupying position 5, previously held by Malawi. Namasala feels some decisions made by NAM have contributed to the fall of the Queens. He explains to Mike Bango.
Obviously, it's a sad development, considering that when you are at position 5, the expectation is to move to position 4 or 3. But when you have moved to position 6, it's retrogressive. It's something that is not a good news. I'm saddened by it.
Now, what do you think are the contributing factors to this downfall for the Queens?
There are myriad problems facing our association. I can describe our association. It has a systematic and a structural failure. So many things that they ought to have perhaps done them in a proper way are being blown out of proportion, dragging issues that would have been sorted amicably. So this has an impact on the performance of the team. For example, I would say the my issue, I think an issue that would have been sorted in-house. You saw it dragged and dragged. There were egos, things that would have been sorted amicably. As the team was about to depart to Australia, we saw the kind of friction between the coach and the association. The coach saying that he selected certain players, which apparently NAM didn't like them. They removed them. So this have effect on the team's performance, because you tend to waste your energy on non-issues. So I will say that these things have somehow impacted negatively on our team. People always complain that the Netball Association always behave in a manner as if they know it all. They feel they are a monopoly to everything. They feel they have a solution to everything, which is not the case. As a human being, you cannot be unknowing. There are times that you have to take heed of advice from people. So the Netball Association needs to be more flexible, needs to take an approach that takes into account that they are in those positions to save the country. And they should always think, what legacy will they leave when they leave the office? Do they want to be remembered as a bunch of people that brought netball down the line? Do they want to have that history that netball was going down when they were in power? So I believe that this is a lesson enough for them to to start considering alternative views, constructive criticism, so that things should move forward.
Welterweight champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. has announced that Andre Beto will be his opponent for what he says will be the final fight of his career on September 12. The fight is slated at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, USA. Details with Mike Bango.
Undefeated Floyd Mayweather will attempt to match Roque Marciano's record of 49 unanswered victories against Andre Bento on 12 September. Former welterweight champion Bento has 30 wins and 3 losses before his bout with his fellow American. He has promised to be at his best. Britain's Amir Khan had hoped for a September bout with Mayweather after beating Chris Aguirre in June. Mayweather's meeting with Bento will be the final bout in a 6-fight deal he agreed with American broadcaster Showtime in February 2013. Mayweather previously claimed his 49th fight would be the last before he retires, while his father and trainer Floyd Mayweather Sr. claimed in July that his son wanted a couple of easy fights with which to finish his career.
In international news, Amnesty International has accused the army in Sudan of committing war crimes by bombing and shelling civilians in its South Kordofan region. More than 374 bombs, including cluster bombs, were dropped in 67 locations between January and April, killing at least 35 people. Sudan's army has not yet commented on the allegations. It has been battling rebels demanding more rights for the region since 2011. At least 1.5 million people, or a third of South Kordofan's population, have fled their homes because of the conflict, Amnesty said in a report. That's all we had in this edition of the news. We look at the top stories again before we go. Government banks on newly launched tripartite free trade area to maintain sugar as crucial export crop. Malawi Bureau of Standards laments Malawi's poor standards in quality assurance. In sports, netball analyst says the Queen's 4 on world rankings should wake up the Netball Association of Malawi. And boxer Floyd Mayweather announces his final career fight. That's it in the news. From the rest of the team, my name is Chancellor Zabanda. Good night.